Hello and welcome to my channel. Thanks so much for stopping by. Today we're going to be using Perfect Pearls along with a background stamp. Let's get started. For the background stamp, I have this red rubber stamp from Technique Junkies called Star Power. This is what it looks like. I have a piece of black cardstock. I have Versamark ink and some Perfect Pearls in various colors. I'm going to use my Tim Holtz stamping platform to stamp my stamp onto this black cardstock. I'm going to be using Versamark ink. Perfect Pearls also has a product called Perfect Medium, which is a very sticky glue that's in the same type of a container as Versamark. So it's in a container where you would stamp down. I didn't have any Perfect Medium, and so I'm using Versamark. Either one will work just fine. Remember, for this technique, you're first stamping with Versamark directly onto the cardstock. You can use any colored cardstock that you want, and I wanted to use black for this project. I'm hopeful that this time when I use Perfect Pearls, I don't make too much of a mess. I think that in the past I have opened the jars the wrong direction, and in doing so I have kind of had a little bit of a spill. So I would just caution you on that. Just make sure that when you open up your lids, you're opening with the lid on top and the Perfect Pearl on the bottom. Perfect Pearl is a mica powder, and it has a binder in it. So in case you're wondering what it's made of, that's what it contains. I do like to throw a piece of scratch paper down underneath my work area. This is just to help protect my mat. Perfect Pearls come with these, they look like paint brushes. They're very soft bristled brushes. They also can remind you of a makeup brush. But all you have to do is dip the brush into the Perfect Pearls and voila, apply that to your card panel, and that's where the magic happens. They're very shiny, highly pigmented, and leave a lasting result. I like doing this sometimes as opposed to heat embossing. It's much softer look, I think, and it's easy. It's as easy as stamping with Versamark and then using a brush to cover up the Perfect Pearls once you apply it. And what I do is normally just take the brush across until that's all blended in and I have coverage on all of my background area. And this is important. Make sure you put your lid on. To put the lid on correctly, you have to turn left first and then right. So that's one thing I learned as well. I thought I had placed the lid on correctly, but it was crooked. And so you don't want that either, because that also gives you a chance that it might spill. But I'm pleased with how this background turned out. Now all you have to do is spray with water. This is just a water bottle, and I'm just spraying my panel with a quick layer of water misted on top. Okay, you don't have to saturate it. You don't have to spray it more than one time. Just spray it with that water so that it is a light spray over top of the card panel, and that will keep it from rubbing off in case anybody that would get it in the mail from you would rub their fingers against it and have mica on their fingers. That's not going to happen with this once you do the spray of the water on top. Let's do another one, and let's do it in another color. I'm using the same background stamp. It's called Star Power. It's from Technique Junkies. And while I'm doing this, let me tell you that Technique Junkies right now is having a inventory reduction sale December 1st through December 15th, 2021. You get 35% off all of the items in the inventory reduction section. Use my coupon code TJ10 Tracy and save an additional 10%. That will save you 45% on all the items in the inventory reduction category. Also, if you would like a stamp that's not in the inventory reduction category, feel free to use my code TJ10Tracy to save 10% off your order. Now, the first color I used was Perfect Gold. Now I'm going to use Perfect Pearl. The product is called Perfect Pearls, and the color that I'm using is Perfect Pearl. So it's a beautiful white pearlescent mica. I really like the way this looks on the black cardstock. I really think it helps the stars to really shine. I don't use this panel for my finished project, only because my finished project features gold embossed sentiment. So obviously I don't think this would match as well, but I do look forward to using this on another card in the future. When you apply the Perfect Pearls, a little bit goes a long way, and just keep rubbing that brush across it until all that mica is used or applied to the panel. Don't forget to spray it with water when you're done. A light mist of water. And the brushes, there is this size brush, which was, I guess, the larger brush. And there's another brush that I didn't use in my video today. It's more narrow and long. This one is more of a rounded tip, and it's more short. But it works very well. All right, so I'm going to get rid of this scrap paper, and let's do one more. I'm doing the same thing. I'm using the same stamp. And I do want to say, you want to make sure your Versamark ink pad is very juicy. If you have a dried up Versamark ink pad, this technique won't work as well. And if you, what I always do when I buy a Versamark ink pad, I buy a refill, or at least every other one. My Versamark ink pads have a tendency to get really grungy because I use them for so many techniques. I am using them for heat embossing and even on my gel plates. So I do get a new one every once in a while. And when I do, I'll buy a refill of Versamark ink, and then I'll have that on hand for when I need it. All right, I was just getting a piece of scrap paper. Again, I'm sticking with the black cardstock. Now this color that I'm using is called Perfect Bronze. I think it's my favorite. I think I like it even better than the Perfect Gold. What do you think? I don't know. It just has a more antique-y look. I guess being bronze, it's more like a penny, the color of a penny. I don't know. The color of copper. I just think it's really shiny. This is actually the color I end up using on my card panel. Even though my card sentiment, which you're going to see in a minute, I end up using a gold sparkle embossing powder. I do like this bronze Perfect Pearls. If you don't have Perfect Pearls, but you have mica powder, you can do the same technique. I believe with mica powder, you have to spray with a fixative, sort of like a Krylon fixative when you're done. Perfect Pearls already has a resin built into it. All you have to do is spray it with a light misting of water, which I'm doing right now. I even take a paper towel just to get that excess water if there's a couple places that has larger drops. Now I'm going to compare all three side by side and see the difference between them. On the left is Perfect Gold, on the right is Perfect Bronze. Now I'm going to bring in the Perfect Pearl, which is more of a white, I guess you could say, but it does look silver on this black cardstock. Now you can see the difference, I think. When I hold the Perfect Pearl up beside the Perfect Gold and the Perfect Bronze, it is easier to spot the difference between those three colors, especially the difference between the gold and the bronze. Okay, let's grab our sentiment, and we will be heat embossing that using gold glitter embossing powder. This one says, "Oh holy night, the stars are brightly shining." The name of the stamp is Brightly Shining. Again, it's from Technique Junkies. Now this time I'm going to be applying some anti-static powder onto my card base. This is a little pillow one that has the anti-static powder inside. Whoops, I have 2 pieces of cardstock here. They must have stuck together. Let's get that out of the way. You can also buy the one that's like a brush nowadays. I have that one too, but I just grabbed this one because it was handy. And I am applying the anti-static powder to the portion of my stamp where I'll be stamping this sentiment. Embossing powder is working the same way as Perfect Pearls, except you have to heat it. So I've got my Versamark ink pad. I'm going to go ahead and ink that sentiment up, and using my Tim Holt stamping platform, stamp that onto the black card base. When I lift my stamp positioning platform, I can see the imprint of that stamp. It's much like a watermark. And we're going to grab our card panel. I have some Nouveau embossing powder. It's a gold sparkle. And we're going to cover our sentiment, which includes a really cool star. Let's go ahead and try to put this powder back in the container. I need to put this powder in a larger container because the mouth of this container is so narrow that I do have a hard time getting it back in when I'm done. All right, I've got this heat tool, and I'm going to go ahead and heat the embossing powder or melt it. And the result will be a real pretty gold sparkly sentiment that says, "Oh holy night, the stars are brightly shining." And the name of the stamp set again is called Brightly Shining, and it's from Technique Junkies. And you can save 10% off your order if you use my code TJ10Tracy. And don't forget there's inventory reduction until December 15th, which is 35% off. But if you use my code, you actually save 45% off of inventory reduction. Now I'm going to grab my fluted oval die set from Spellbinders. I'm hoping that this medium fluted oval will accommodate this size sentiment, and I think it's going to work if I just turn it correctly. For some reason when I stamped that, it was super crooked. It doesn't matter when you're die cutting because you can die cut at any angle and make it right, and when it comes out it's going to look straight. So I've got this low tack tape from Spellbinders. This is one that I like to use because it doesn't rip my paper. And let's go ahead and run this through the Sidekick. Oh, it's a big shot. I don't know why I call it a Sidekick. It's a big shot. So I did cut that sentiment using the fluted oval. And I ran it through and back through. And when I took it off, I realized I forgot to use the die that actually cuts out the oval. So this is a pretty cool look though. If I'm going to be doing this in the future, I got to remember this. So there's a die that comes with it that goes on the outside, and that basically will cut out that oval for you. But I like the way that looked, how it was embossed on the cardstock. You could use that as your focal point of your card the next time you want to draw attention to what's in the oval area. So if you don't cut it out, maybe you're just doing a 1-layer card. I can see where that would work. But in our case, we want to get that oval cut out. All right, so I ran that through with the outside oval and it cuts out perfectly. And now we have our sentiment, which is heat embossed with gold sparkle embossing powder. I need to get the proper name of that embossing powder. 1 second here. Okay, it's called Glitter Embossing Gold Enchantment. Gold Enchantment Glitter Embossing Powder. I will have it linked below in my description box, as well as a link for the Spellbinders oval fluted dye. And here's the rectangle fluted dye from Spellbinders. These are brand new to me. I'm going to use this for my panel, and it really looks nice. Gives it a real, I don't know, finished look. Very elegant. Now these, you just use the rectangle. There is an outside dye, but for my case, my panel is just a A2 panel. It is 5.5 by 4.25, and that rectangle is just the perfect size for that panel. If I could just get it to stay together. My yellow tape was getting less sticky. If you're anything like me, I use my tape over and over again until it loses its stick. And we're at the point where these couple of pieces were no longer sticking. So in the trash they go. Let's grab some brand new tape and just do a hinge method where I'm going to apply the tape directly to the frame and then a little piece hanging over the frame so that it has the ability to stick to that card panel without moving while it goes through the big shot. And you'll see what I mean when I take it apart. See how I have it just sort of, whoops, I'm off screen here a little bit. I just have it on one side, the back side, and then I had it right directly on that frame. You don't have to do it that way. Oh, one thing that you can do is take a Swiffer wipe and wipe over your perfect pearl background, just to, if you feel like there might be some residue and you just want to make sure that it's clean for the person that you're going to be giving it to. You don't really need to do that. I guess it's just a habit for me. And then you could do the same thing with your heat embossed sentiment. What I am going to do with the sentiment oval is use some foam tape to give it some dimension before I apply it to the background. Now that I've applied my foam tape and removed all the backing, now I can just place that on top of my fluted rectangle perfect pearls background. I think it turned out really nice. So here's the card finished. It's really hard to capture that glitter and that shine, but I'm hoping that these photos give you some idea of what the card looks like. And here's one more photo. Thank you so much for watching my video today. If you like this, please give this a thumbs up, leave a comment. Do you like to use perfect pearls? And also, if you're not a subscriber, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel. We have a lot of fun. I do a lot of giveaways, and I try to do one live a week and a couple recorded videos throughout the month. Thanks so much for watching. Have a hopeful day. Bye-bye.